What's up, DAW Nation? My name's Wyatt Troy, and welcome to episode 3.5 of Behind the DAW, where we usually interview artists and music industry experts on an emotional, philosophical, and artistic level. But as you notice, this is a 0.5 episode. And on these episodes, we take the audio from our YouTube series In the DAW, where we invite artists to dissect their songs in real time, and we put it in a podcast form, so you can partake of it and listen to it on the go, and get that perfect combination of emotional and technical knowledge. And the best part of all of this is that it's free. Forever, no matter what. Our only request is that if you enjoy this podcast, and it's really helping you along your musical journey, go ahead and check out the Behind the DAW Patreon, and consider supporting the channel for just $1 a month. If you have any feedback, question, comments, concerns, or you just want to talk, you can contact me at wyatt@behindthedaw.net. All right, DAW Nation, let's get into it.
I suppose the main one that first came to mind is the vocal, because you're doing different. If I heard it correctly, you've got almost like different processed vocal layers at different points in the track. Like, was that from vocoding or distortion or a combination of that? Or?
Yeah, exactly. So these vocals, okay. So it was like I think it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I lived in a share house with 3 other people at the time, and they're all my really good friends. I set up a tiny desk, a laptop, and 2 very blown rocket monitors when I was making this song. And I had all these vocals were recorded through my old iPhone, actually, so it is my voice, and I put on I downloaded some raster kind of vocal pack, and I was going through it because I thought, this is, the sound of dubstep and really cool, but I couldn't find anything that suited. And this was a freestyle, so the whole yes, yes, yes thing here, that was just freestyle. The yes was freestyle, and then I hummed out the melody of Whatnot, and I liked I had already written the music, the drop and Whatnot, and I knew it was an aggressive sound, so I thought the lyrics had to match. But as I said before, I wasn't really confident. It's not really singing. I think it's more of a chant. So when I did it, I kept it as simple as possible, but I just knew I had to cover it with effects. There's not too much on it at all, and it's all Ableton, except for Sausage Fattener, but that's pretty much Ableton.
Yeah.
Are these vocals yours?
Yeah, that's me yelling into my phone. To be honest, I can see how it's very much like it's smashed, very flat.
I didn't realize that was you.
This is an iPhone 4. Yeah, very high pitched. I was just screaming into a phone, really.
Yeah, so there's been a couple times that you and we've checked out some of your songs, and you said that you've recorded this or that with your phone. I found that when I do that with my phone, things come out just like extremely thin. How do you prevent that, or how do you fix that? You know what I mean?
I'd say it'd be these ones. Make it warm with synths down here. Vocoder here. So that was that one there. This one here, which is this one here. This is it's just I'm pretty sure it's massive. And then and then I just chuck them through a vocoder, and that makes it warm. And I guess I've already gotten rid of all the bottom end, but together, I guess it just fills it out. It's all about layering, making stacks. Yeah, I just didn't have any gear. Well, this one here keeps all the bottom end, which is just this here. Flat, because I wanted the sound, like the intonations of the rest of the words here to fill the gaps. So all these gaps here, I just wanted them to be filled. So I just kept this flat all the way through the whole verse. Obviously cut all the bottom end. And yeah.
So this is you doing a Jamaican accent. This is an Australian producer.
I am very white. Yes, I am very white, except for my tattoos.
Dude, I had no idea. For some reason, I just thought this was like a vocal sample off Splice, but I guess Splice wasn't around back then.
No, not at all. Yeah, this is just completely raw. Would be. You want to see me today? I'm just screaming into the phone.
That's so insane.
Which actually brings a natural distortion in itself.
Yeah, really cool.
It doesn't even sound good. But you just chuck on the basics, and then you get that room and chorus effect, I guess. So the vocals were just definitely different layers compared to like the start here with this vocoder at the bottom. Really high, I guess it's really a high register, all these. But I thought better bring it down for the verse for here. I just thought keep it flat, keep it in key instead of changing the notes per what I was singing, and let the actual raw vocals do the same. This one underneath is just effects. Super wet here on this delay. And that just carries out throughout. Yeah, it's not even it's not even that good. I kind of think now, but yeah, it did the job. It did the job.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly sounded really good to me. So it's always refreshing when you hear a cool sound coming out of only like 4 or 5 layers instead of a giant like crazy stack.
Yeah, it was just 2 vocoders and natural distortion from a pretty average iPhone at the time.
How did you do that main? I suppose you might call it a bass or a lead or something. That main noise
on the drop. Yeah, so that's this one here.
The drop sound. Yeah.
So the drop as a whole sounds like this.
So yes, I'm gonna destroy ya.
As I said before, I'm not actually too crazy with sound design. I just manipulate sounds. So the OG is, Spadman. That's it. That's the sample. So I drag the audio in and I make a pattern with it depending on sort of what I want to do. So I just drag it out. Once I had made the pattern, I dragged it into this sampler down here. The sample by itself wasn't enough because of the one note, so I just changed the pitch bend to bend it up. So just had a little bit more movement, a little bit of character to it. So yeah, the original is just like a hardstyle kick, you could say, or it's a bit of a bass line, and it's got a lot on it to make it sound so cool. So I just made a pattern. I forgot what I did at the time, but just made just a bit of a pattern. And then once I glued that together with the kick like that, I just dragged it into a sampler, an Ableton sampler here, and I knew it was flat. So yeah, I just put some pitch bend on it, super pitch bend to make it really dancey. That's the trick, and a little bit of EQ, and that was it. I was happy to make that.
Really, really tasteful. Like I'm really impressed. Now, is that pitch bend? Because that's not coming from the transposition thing. That's actually coming from the pitch bend from the sampler, right?
Yes, the original thing was just like bum, bum, bum. Yeah, so I just added the whips and it gets quicker here because it's the MIDI pitch bend speeds up the notes. Yeah, I just thought it was good enough to repeat. Yeah, and then again and again and again times 2.
That's actually a really, really, really cool technique, because you're right. Most of the time it's like, oh, you have to spend 14 hours designing 17 gigabytes worth of sound. And then you go through and grab the ones that you like the most. And then you throw all those away and make new ones. And then those are the ones you actually use in your song, where you're like, screw it. Here's a cool sample. I'm going to make a cool rhythm out of it. I'm going to throw it into a sampler. I'm going to pitch bend it. Voila. You know what I mean? Like, it looks like it's super dope, dude. There's no denying it's super dope. No one is going to listen to this song and be like, this is a super cool song, and then find out how you did it and be like, this is a super stupid song because he didn't design the sound. You know what I mean? Like, it's dope. In your samples on the side where it says Dragon Ball Z, King Kai, and Goku, can we please play that? I want to know what it is.
Sure. It's a scene from Dragon Ball Z episode maybe 2 or 3.
You really mean it? Oh, well, of course. Like first.
There's nothing crazy. It's just a scene from Dragon Ball Z, the cartoon.
I've never been this proud of you before in my whole life. Dude, like, Dragon Ball Z is so close to my heart. This is awesome.
That's so funny. My argument would be that there are so many, there's billions of producers out there who could have made this sound from scratch, and like who do, and they're amazing. And I'm only so much of a producer. I'm a bedroom producer. I taught myself off YouTube videos. So I make music for fun, and there's so many people out there who, do it for, the traditional art of sound design, and you have to start from scratch, like a complete raw sine wave, and then design your Skrillex lead. But I mean, that's perhaps just not me, and in showing the simplicity of this track. I mean, it's simple in a way. Like, there's really nothing to the drums at all, like a snare here. That's obviously nothing. Kicks. And some stuff, like one of the most simple beats ever put down, and some vocals. This is the whole drop. I mean, people can spend 2 weeks writing their drop, and there are some crazy intricate drops out there that you just think, when you hear it, you go, well, in my opinion, for me, not for anyone else, I can't speak for anyone else. I hear something and go, I just have no idea how they did that. I've just got zero idea how that drop was made or created. And then you can watch a 5-hour tutorial on a Serum sound design and I just get blown away. But personally, it's just not my thing. I don't always rip samples. I do a lot of using synths and manipulating presets. I mean, that's as far as my sound design goes. I could grab a preset and then manipulate it for about a day. Make it unique. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. I mean, I'd hate to think that I'd put a song out there and then 99% of the comments on SoundCloud are, oh, you've used Cymatics version, Nightmare, like preset number 16. Like, I'd hate that. I'd never do that. But in saying that, I like to, I'm not the full sound design guru nerd who sits in his office for 10 days on one synth. That's just not me. But I hope that this explains that they're still able to reach some kind of cool track with simplicity.
It's kind of like a standing joke with every episode that we've had so far. Do you have anything in this project that is Cymatics?
Absolutely not. This is 2.5 years old. Okay. I'm pretty sure the guy from Cymatics wasn't even born yet.
And what reverb was that snare going through? Couldn't quite pinpoint it because it's quite a cool one. The big main snare, yeah.
Oh, man, it's frozen. It's completely frozen. It would have, man, to be honest with you, I'm a huge fan of Drum Room. I have no idea what processing was on it because I do it all the time and it's completely frozen.
Do you find you normally use multiple reverbs or always just the one reverb in a track?
So this is a question I get a lot, and this is actually what I got last time I did a video with you, Wyatt. How come I individualize everything, including drums? I don't do grouping. I don't bounce anything. I don't use A and B, reverb or delay. I like to individualize everything. I think that multiple reverbs is kind of important. I mean, what I use on, do you mean like that's this snare compared to this snare sort of thing? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Or if I was to do this again, I'd probably put on like a reverb, and I like the simple delay a lot. I like how wide it gets. I know it's already frozen there, but yeah, I use multiple delays, but I individualize everything. I think this should be different to every other sound in the track, in the whole track.
Definitely, yeah. And I saw you just put that simple delay after the reverb. So was that to make the reverb wider? Yeah,
it makes the whole sound. This one here.
That's cool. I don't see too many people do that. It's a cool idea.
Well, it's completely wide. So on the left here, it's 6 milliseconds after and 12.
Yeah, I just think it's really cool how, I mean, when I first heard this track, it didn't strike me as an exceptionally simple project, if you know what I mean. So I think it's really cool that people can see that. I mean, there weren't like 40 different elements, but at the same time, it still sounded like a complex track, if you know what I mean. So I think it's really cool that people can see. While sometimes, yes, it can be cool to have 150 tracks, it can also be cool, and you can certainly get away with 20 sometimes as well. So I think it's
But some of the beats I've written have been no more than 6, and they sound crazy. But then I write tracks that have like 120 different tracks in them, and then you think, oh, it just sounds like a 4-piece band. But I think it might be the syncopation of this song which make it sound a little different. It's not 4 to the floor. It's like not it's triplets within the realm of 4/4 timing. So like the whole element. And then mimicked by the sub at the bottom is actually a weird syncopation that doesn't suit what people are used to hearing. And that might create a level of difficulty, which you might just assume goes into like a difficult project. But it's 1, 2, 3, 4 sounds.
That's insane. I never thought about that before. And you're probably like the first person that uses triplets religiously that I've ever met. Many projects that you've shown me, I'm like, that's a triplet. That's freaking sick. I feel like that's something that's not used or underused, I should say, extremely.
I just love it. I just love that triplets, and I love syncopation done properly. Not that I'm the only one who does it properly. I just like it. Yeah.
We have a standing, not rule, but standing tradition on the show where, once we kind of more or less get done with the questions with everything, we ask you, would you like us to give you our feedback on the song and kind of tell you what we think about it?
You know what? Let me open something different.
That looks much more organized than most people's projects, to be honest. Like normally it's like dubstep 10. Yeah. And I end up like starting tracks and I call it like 110 BPM like banger or something, and it will end up 170 BPM and chilled. So it would like, nothing ever match.
I've misplaced my mic stand. So currently my USB microphone is sitting in a shoe at the moment, and I'm leaning towards it. So I've seen both of what you guys are using, and I'm just looking at my shoe thinking, wow.
I think that's what Dave Pensado does on Pensado's place. He uses the shoe to bounce his mic, yeah.
All right, this is my MIDI for the orchestra at the top. So there's my left. my right and my left, and there's my 12 millisecond delay to make it wide that you can't hear. So there's my top melody here, nothing crazy, and then the bottom end, brass and strings. Really simple notes that you can see here in the MIDI, exactly the same. And I've got my Batman strings down here, Batman being they sound like this. Every Dark Knight movie ever starts with this for like 5 minutes. And I think it's awesome. And then orchestral hit, which is a sample, brass and a choir, and I think it sounds just lovely. The percussion's really simple. It looks like a sample, but it's MIDI that I've frozen from a plugin here called The Big Bang, which I love.
You were telling me about this. I've never heard of it or ever seen it before. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it's one I found from a guy who does the music for, I think it's League of Legends. I think that's it. Yeah, he did this thing, a sample pack called Drums of War.
Oh, there's the cymatic stuff. I knew it.
Yeah. I am guilty and I don't even care.
Cymatics is dope.
I mean, they're successful for a reason, right? They do some pretty cool stuff. Yeah, that plugin is just it's just like I said in that last thing. It's just a whole bunch of really cool epic war drum sounds, big timpanis and taiko drums and whatnot. The rest of my percussion is pretty simple. That's just like maintaining the beat, if anything, like an organic metronome. These are all frozen MIDI drums here. Oh, and cymbals, impacts. Obviously, that sounds cool. There's nothing. You just cut the bottom end, 80 hertz down.
Most of these risers and impacts and everything, these are all coming from the Big Bang thing that you showed us.
It is. It certainly is. Yeah, and some sub, and that sounds kind of cool. And again, this is in triplets. This whole thing. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Just has a nice swing to it. Moving on to. Something I wanted to mention is what I did as a counter melody here, which I think is kind of cool. All the way, it's 30 to the right and then to the left.
For those of
an octave down.
I don't know what a counter melody is. Can you explain what that is?
It's just another melody that sits on top of the main tune that you'd call this being the main hook here. Da 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 da. I just have something that I'm creating more of a character, you could say. I mean, it's obviously much busier. It has the notes are played at exactly the same time. They line up 16ths. There's nothing special there. But the notes are different. This one's an octave higher. It tells a bit more of a story with the scale. It just puts more notes of the scale in, and then an octave left and nice and wide here, -5, -12 milliseconds. And it just creates a more busy atmosphere around the whole melody here. Which lines up here with the shakers. Everything's the same intonations. It's the same timing. Just swings and swings and swings all the way through. Bit of dynamics, just bring it right down for the build-up. The most typical EDM build-up ever. Volume rises here. A couple. Here we go. And now I'm a bit. Fills are just as important as what the synths are doing. So these are my fills here. I grab these off the Machine library. Machine being that little drum pad that I bought. They just have the coolest noises. Honestly, they're just amazing. All authentic, real, like it almost sounds like there's 5 microphones next to every hit every time, and it sounds amazing. No reverb, no realistic, but it adds the note of the tonality. Dun 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 boom. Adds that feel. And this taiko by itself, again, nice and short, but I don't want the reverb to come from these. I just want the authentic sound coming through. Now it's sounding a bit fuller, and a huge hit here. I mean, you can hear like a crunch after this. I just think that sounds awesome. And then the last tom just to fill, and you can tell it stops really suddenly. So I put in, instead of a snare, I wanted to treat it like a drum kit. But instead of a snare, I just replaced it with a real taiko hit from Machine again. It almost sounds like it was on some massive like Japanese dance war fucking thing on stage. I don't even know. That's a bit Middle Eastern. So you get the dun 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 cha. Instead of it being a drum fill from a studio drum kit, it's a bit, I guess, from a movie, a bit cinematic. And I just repeat the whole thing throughout. Oh, and reverse drums because you need to lead up to something. Da bum, da bum, all the way through. Da bum, da bum, and then more of a fill here. I mean, I'd say that's 50% important as the kick and the drop here, which is pretty basic kick. I mean, that's nothing special, but I did pitch it down for. It's not necessarily muddy, but I like it to be a little bit different. I mean, the original kick sounds cool, but it's nice and thumpy. But this is like, I guess it has, in my opinion, more of an edge to it. My ghost kick is just for side chaining, so that doesn't really matter. It's always turned off. My drop. Oh, that's one serum note that I froze and then just shaped the volume. So I use serum, and you know what? I can almost guarantee it's cymatics. Let's check. Yeah, Jaws for serum. But look what I did to it. So much. So let's hear. I'll play the preset by itself. Let's have a look. I guess most people hear that and want the whole boom wow. They'd want the whole womp of the sound is, or the whole filter. They'd want that. So I just put all the bottom octave, and I'm only tapping it. I just want the first hit. I don't want anything else. So all my MIDI is really short in the grand scheme. I'll just glue that together. All my MIDI is nice and short. Your triplet syncopation here, and you can see that I've just shortened the triplets there. Yeah, just to give it some character. Some triplets, but it sounds lame by itself. I just wanted a tiny little bit brighter. Compressor is my side chaining against this ghost kick here, so it just dances between the kicks. There's not really too much going on, but it does enough at 15. It does enough to just duck behind the kick. I love these choruses, and this changes the note completely. Like, it's a completely new sound now. You can't pick that as a cymatics preset. A bit of oomph. I don't know how much. Let's see. 10%. Not much at all. And that's dry. And then my effects are the same thing with reverb, way brighter. We're gone wide, but I changed the timing so it doesn't clash with the main one, and some more delay upon the first simple delay with the reverb. High quality, no bottom end, 60%, really short decay. You can see how weak that sounds, but it's really necessary because without it, the drop is dry. There's nothing here, nothing at all, especially here when the phrase ends, nothing. And then you just rely on that fill. But with it in, you can hear it fills in these gaps nice, and you can hear ta 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 like that all throughout these gaps, and it just makes the drop sound a lot more rounded, I guess. And this here is just with an air. That's just a sub drop. Pretty sure it's a Vengeance actually. Yeah, there's the OG one. I just shaped the volume, put an amp on it.
I feel like amp is so underrated. It's so powerful. It's freaking awesome.
Totally. And then I like it on the first beat because you expect it to kick and then keep going with 4 to the floor, but it's just a little refresh before the typical pattern. That's pretty much a breakdown of the drop. Okay, so what I did, this song actually took a while to write. I'd say this took me about 4 or 5 hours. And then I usually sleep on it, and I remember hearing just this build up, and it literally went to nothing but a kick. And you're right, that idea took a little while. I had a bunch of hard, trappy, screechy sounds originally, but I just knew that, well, in my head, I wanted to feel like it was still a scene from Lord of the Rings, like still a fight, but all of a sudden it was based in the movie The Matrix. I just, I thought keeping everything, I like to keep everything, everything's real deep and dark, and that's kind of the point. I mean, I think it's about keeping the same atmosphere throughout, so that it doesn't sound like two completely different songs glued together. This is all what I'd call cinematic orchestra-ish kind of melody. The drums are the same all throughout. They're all those big, huge war drums. And that obviously ties it together. There's no synths. There's no like new age sort of stuff up here at all, except for like a sub drop. Just this one here. It's the only thing that's, I guess you could call new age. And then moving into the new age here, keep those war drums, keep the timing, but keep it all deep and dark. Keep it all a response to this call. If this was the call and it's like, I want to know what's going on and you want to say what's going on, it's like, we'll keep it in the same tonality of the deep and dark atmosphere. I reckon that's kind of the best way I could explain that it would sort of transition with this build up. Oh, and having this like all orchestral and percussion being so organic, the only thing I can sort of think it's this impact here is that's pretty electric, fall down bubble from practically any major laser song would be the introduction of, it's electronic music, and then straight into electronic drums with no mucking around. One tiny reverse here, it's just like suddenly we're at a festival instead of watching a movie. And yeah, I reckon that's how I was able to tie it together. Okay, the biggest problem I had with this song was this sample here, which is an actual song. Here, Egyptian horns. I got a filter, so it's going from nothing to something. This right here. I did change the pitch and I have frozen it since, but it is actually the exact sample that RL Grime uses for chord. So I was like, it's a different key. And he's used a different section, but they're the same horns that he ripped from literally the song Egyptian Empire. I mean, the horn track from Egyptian Empire. He grabbed the same intro. I've had this forever. I just thought it was so cool. Like I picture the movie Gladiator sort of when I just hear that. I think it's just so cool and raw. The rest just came naturally. I mean, I just hear it in my head and I do my best to put it on the map.
As far as like me giving you any feedback on this, the only thing I can really say is this is amazing. Like this is really, really cool. I have nothing to criticize you on. Like really just, I'm starting to see this a little bit more. And I feel like as time goes on, what you're doing like with like this orchestral cinematic bass crossover or electronic music crossover, whatever you want to call it, I feel like it's going to become more and more popular over the years just because it's so cool. Like it's such a good idea. You know what I mean? I really, really like it.
I don't mean to break your heart so much, but I don't actually plan on ever releasing this track. I wrote it and I love it playing it, but do you remember that track I showed you the other day? I'm just going to play the chorus really quick. This song here, this is actually the direction that the Arcane Echo project is headed. It's not finished, so it's just a rough draft. I'm just going to play the chorus and then you'll see why I can't release something like this and then this in the same world. I mean, I could, but it'll confuse all the other people who are even close to interested. At the moment, I don't have too many people interested at all. But with this kind of stuff, I mean, it's hip hop, it's pure hip hop, and I love writing it. I really do. I love writing it just as much as I love writing this. Performance based, I'm lucky enough to do a whole bunch of shows where I get to sit in front of a crowd and I want to keep them just as happy. And that's where I think this comes in. So this would be the chorus and the verse, intro.
I know what you did, I watch you do, I know where you've been, and I've been told about you, say what you want, we all know about you.
So you were wearing a blindfold and said, we're showing this drop, and then we're showing the other one. What do you think they're all the same? This isn't in a producing sense. I mean, this video is based on producing and songwriting, but in a marketing sense, in a PR sense, the Arcane Echo brand has to have some consistency, and I've been lucky enough to have a career, as you can see here, based on trap, pretty much, primarily trap and dubstep for Destroyers. 2.5 years. So it's all trap and trap and trap and trap. So I'm just converting my career into a little bit more artist based, a little bit more hip hop, being a performance of not just heavy trap songs, so to speak, which doesn't mean I won't stop making this. I love writing this. And I play it in shows. Honestly, it was the intro to one of my shows. So I think it still goes well, but release-wise, I'm not entirely sure.
In that case, then, since I don't have any feedback on this, just because on this specific track, just because it's so amazing, what I do have is for on your hip hop side, because I've been rapping for about 10 years. So like that's something that I've like really tried to like deconstruct and figure it out. So the only thing that I have to say about that, because you kind of, like in that one, you're kind of doing the rapping thing, but you're kind of doing the singing thing, which is super cool. Like I love that so much. My only thing that I can say about that, actually two things I can say about that. One of them is like a practicing thing. So here's a cool little tip that I tell people. If you can rap a song at 16th notes, you can rap it at any interval, basically. So like So what you were singing there, what you were singing, rapping there, it wasn't 16th notes, which is totally cool. But I tell people this all the time. It's really not that hard to rap. If you can do anything at like, like Tech 9 style, where it's just like 16th notes, you can rap anything at all. You know what I mean?
That's a really good idea. That's really cool. Yeah.
And, if you can play the piano blindfolded, you can play the piano anytime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think I might give that a crack. Yeah.
Cool, man. And that you increase is a lyricist, and also like is the skill, makes your flow clear. Not that your flow is not clear at all. It's extremely clear. It's just a nice little tip I like to give people that are like getting into that, just because it helps out a lot, And the second thing I want to say for workflow, which I don't feel like you needed in this, it's just a cool little tip, and whether you know about it or not. Have you ever used Vocaline before?
No, I'm not sure what that is.
Yes. Okay. So Vocaline is an insane plugin. It's made by Synchro Arts, I believe. And so it's really, really awesome, because basically what it does is, so like, let's say that, you're rapping a line, you write a really cool line, like, I'm sick of it, I'm living in a vision that is sickening, like that kind of a thing. And you're like, cool, I want to double on that. So you go on to the next track and you're like, I'm sick of it, I'm living in a vision that is sickening. And then you kind of do that as a doubles. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, like if this is your main track and this is your dub, they're pretty the same, but I need to go in and like cut them and move them over and everything. Not anymore, because Vocaline is just like, here's the main, here's the dub, and it basically lines it up perfectly. But because nothing can, because you can never do the exact same performance twice, it lines them up timing wise, but tone wise, it creates a really good double, if you will. So for rapping, this is insane. Like, it's unbelievable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing. Highly encouraged. It works really, really good for like singing vocals. So you don't have to go in and like change the timing and everything and cut things up and move them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I reckon I'll definitely have a look. Yeah.
When I first heard this track, I think it was on that EDM Prod podcast. No, I mentioned that a whole bunch of times now. But I was actually listening to it through my phone speaker. I know the track's not really designed to be played back through like a tiny iPhone speaker. I found the drop section only really got me super excited when I heard it again through big speakers, which I'm sure is entirely natural based on where you're supposed to hear the track. But yeah, if there's any sort of like production things you can throw in just to make it also translate through the tiniest of speakers, it could be cool. But I must admit, I can't think of any really easy ways apart from just throwing almost like changing some of the sounds potentially. But that was just one thing I did notice, because the intro sounded really cool through the phone speaker still.
Yeah, totally. I think it's much higher tonality. They're all in the high octaves, a lot of melodies going on, and then in the drop, it'd be hard for a phone to compensate for, what is it, like between 80 and maybe 200 hertz. And
it's not like 120 upwards. It's like you lose like pretty much all the low end. If I remember correctly, like I think I lost all the body from the kick. Like you heard all the high frequencies and stuff, but then you lost all so you lost all the body of the kick. So all of a sudden, it kind of felt like half the track was missing, even though I knew, obviously, because I know about production, that there should be a kick there. As I say, for a track in the club, that's never an issue. It's just purely for phones and stuff.
Well, I mean, when you release a track, being an artist and wanting to put a track out to the world, I'd assume that 70% of them are listening to it through phones or iPhone or a laptop speaker firsthand anyway, and that's going to be their first impression of your track, and that's kind of unfortunate, but that's just how it is.
I think definitely I didn't listen to the track through laptops. That's probably going to be the more important test, because I think, you're right, loads of people listen through laptops first, but not too many listen just purely through their phone speaker. So then that'd be one thing to double check, I suppose.
Or car, which is just as offensive.
Yeah. I personally find cars can sound wildly different. Like mine's got a really weird whole, so it's like really good from like 40 to 60, but then it's got nothing to 100. It's really strange. I don't quite know what's going on there.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Which means that some songs completely fail, like just completely fail, which is really, really peculiar.
And I've been completely disheartened. I remember writing a beat and thinking, I can't wait to show my friend who's got 2 subs in the boot of his car. I think I wrote it in B flat, which is just appalling key to write in for this music. And when it finally got to the bit I was excited about, it was just completely gone, just completely empty, nothing. I obviously didn't do it very well. And he's just like, oh yeah, you might want to work on it. And I remember thinking, how can it sound so good in my headphones and then so terrible in an actual system? But the world of mixing and mastering and engineering is just crazy. I mean, that's just that's another thing.
There's no real perfect mix either. I think that's one misconception that some people have. There's always going to be compromises.
Well, I remember being 6 months into it at the age of 21, 22 and thinking you got to be kidding me. What's the point of it? I don't understand anything I'm looking at. And when I watch a YouTube tutorial, I have to watch the same sentence 5 times just to copy the same drop-down menu that he was doing. But cliche as this sounds, just stick with it. I mean, it is a brand new language. When you open up a brand new door and you're having a look at everything, it is a brand new language. And it does take time. And everyone wants results right now, yesterday. They want to be awesome yesterday. And in saying that, when I started, there wasn't as cool things as Splice, as many YouTube tutorials as there are right now on any sound in the entire world that you want to make. I hope everyone's learning what they want to learn and making what they want to make. And they're not thinking that, Chainsmokers is number one, so I'm going to be number one. I hope that's not the case. I hope they just don't give up when they come across their song and they'll compare it to, don't compare, that sucks. But my advice is to just push through for years. Literally years before you think, this sucks, I'm done. Because a billion times I still think, this sucks, move on. But definitely don't give up.
I have a final question for you before I ask the final question. The whole thing is about not comparing. It reminded me of something that Nick Sherwink said. So Nick Sherwink, he's a teacher at Icon Collective. Shout out to Nick. He's freaking awesome. But he told me something one time. He's like, in our industry, comparing is one of the most important things. And it's also one of the most self-destructive things you can ever do. Because, for example, we live in an industry where you have to compare all the time. Is this song as loud as this? Or how does this stand up sound design as far as this? Or how does the vocal sound? Or so on and so forth, whatever. You know what I mean? You have to compare a lot. But at the end of the day, where most people don't catch it, is you are never supposed to compare your self-worth to someone else. You as a human, I'm totally going into dad cliche mode, but you are special, you are unique. To say that I am more important than Multiplier or Arcane Echo or anyone is completely false. You know what I mean? It's absurd. And it's the same backwards. To say that you are more important than us is the same. Comparing your self-worth, comparing your potential, it will only make you sad. It'll only make you depressed. It'll only make you pissed off.
Totally. Well, I think you can, it depends how you look at it. You can compare for inspiration. You can compare to strive. I still do that. And when I found out that The Weeknd is 1 year younger than me, I admit I got a little bit upset. This is what I was talking about at the start of this, success is what you think it is. And that's so fortune cookie lame, but it's true. You can compare to strive, but if you compare to judge, that's pretty bad.
Now, my final question that I have for you, and this is something that we ask everyone who comes on the show. So let's take this session. So we've kind of spent a little bit more time in here, this orchestral bass thing we got going on here. If you could go back in time and you're sitting with yourself on the first day that you're working on this song, what advice would future you give to past you about this song? What would you tell you to avoid? What advice would you give? You know what I mean?
I'm quite comfortable in saying nothing. I'm happy to say that I wouldn't go back and say you shouldn't do this or waste your time with this, because everything I do, I learn. And if I spend a couple hours making those screechy sounds, I learned that they suck. I wouldn't go back and say that. Don't muck around with screechy sounds, because my next project or two, I wouldn't have learnt what not to do with screechy sounds. So, I'm quite happy to say nothing. I'm okay with my learning process for this song specifically. If you talk about my whole career, then maybe that'd be a little different. This song, I'm okay. Yeah.
Yeah, really good. Nice one. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Behind the DAW. We really hope you enjoyed it. Did you enjoy the questions that we asked, or would you have liked to hear different ones? If you're listening to this on iTunes or any other podcast-related app, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. And if you're listening to this on SoundCloud, make sure to like, comment, and follow, and we'll see you next time on Behind the DAW.